Making Your Own Luck, an audiobook. Chapter 1. The Myth of the Lucky Few. There is a story we tell ourselves about other people. We see someone land a dream job, fall into a perfect relationship, or build a business that takes off seemingly overnight, and we say it with a mixture of admiration and defeat. They were just lucky. We say it like luck is a coat some people are born wearing and others are not. Like fortune is something that descends from above, tapping certain shoulders and passing others by entirely. But here is what I have come to believe after years of studying the lives of people who seem to consistently attract good things. Luck is not something that happens to you. Luck is something you build. It is a practice, a posture, and a set of habits that quietly stack the odds in your favor every single day. This is not a book about positive thinking or wishful dreaming. It is about the real, practical, sometimes uncomfortable work of becoming the kind of person to whom good things naturally flow. And the beautiful truth is that this is available to every single one of us. So let us begin. Chapter 2. What luck actually is. Before we can make our own luck, we need to understand what luck actually is at its core. The word itself comes from an old Dutch word, luck, which simply meant happiness or good fortune. For centuries, luck was understood as something divine, a gift from the gods, a roll of the cosmic dice. And yes, there is an element of chance woven into the fabric of life that none of us can control entirely. You cannot choose where you are born. You cannot choose the family you come into. You cannot choose whether a global event reshapes the economy the year you graduate. These things are real, and it would be dishonest to pretend otherwise. But here is what the science of luck reveals, and researchers have actually studied this. Most of what we call luck is not random at all. It is the collision between preparation and opportunity. It is what happens when someone has built the right skills, the right mindset, and the right relationships, and then finds themselves standing in the right place at the right time. The psychologist Richard Wiseman spent years studying people who considered themselves lucky versus people who considered themselves unlucky. What he found was extraordinary. Lucky people were not encountering more good fortune by chance. They were simply better at noticing it, creating it, and acting on it. Lucky people are more relaxed and open. They notice unexpected opportunities. Unlucky people are often so tense and focused on one narrow outcome that they miss the door of possibility standing wide open right beside them. So the question is not whether you will encounter lucky moments in your life. The question is whether you will be the kind of person who recognizes them and has the courage to walk through. Chapter 3. The preparation nobody sees. There is a version of every success story that gets told at dinner parties and on highlight reels, and then there is the real version. The real version usually involves years of quiet, unglamorous preparation that nobody applauded. It involves evenings spent learning a skill when everyone else was relaxing. It involves reading widely, practicing consistently, and building knowledge in areas that do not yet feel immediately useful. Think of it this way. Imagine two people at the same networking event. A conversation starts about a niche subject, say the future of renewable energy storage. Person A has spent the last 6 months casually reading about the topic because they were curious. Person B has not. That curiosity, that preparation, that willingness to learn without a specific reward in mind creates a moment. A conversation deepens, a connection is made, a door opens. From the outside, it looks like luck. Person A just happened to be at that event, just happened to know that subject. But the luck was built in the quiet months before. It was made. One of the most powerful things you can do for your future luck is to become genuinely, deeply curious about the world. Read outside your field. Learn skills adjacent to your work. Follow your interests, even when they seem impractical. The connective tissue between apparently unrelated knowledge is where some of the most valuable and surprising opportunities are born. Luck rewards the well-prepared, not because the universe is keeping score, but because preparation makes you useful, makes you interesting, and makes you ready when the moment arrives. Chapter 4. The Art of Showing Up. If preparation is the foundation, then showing up is the architecture built on top of it. There is an old idea that 90% of success is simply turning up. And while that might be a slight exaggeration, it contains a profound truth. Most people opt out. Most people do not send the email. Most people do not attend the event. Most people do not start the conversation. Most people wait until they feel ready, which is a day that very often never comes. Showing up means doing the thing before you feel completely ready. It means going to the conference even though you know nobody there. It means submitting the proposal even when rejection feels possible. It means posting the work even before you think it is perfect. It means saying yes to the room you have not been in before. Every time you show up, you expand your surface area for luck. You create more points of contact between your life and the possibilities that exist in the world around you. Think of luck as a numbers game in the best possible sense. Not a mindless numbers game, not cold calling strangers in the hope that 1 in 100 says yes, but a thoughtful, intentional expansion of the places you go, the people you meet, and the things you try. The people who seem lucky are almost always the people who are consistently, persistently present. They are in the rooms, they are in the conversations, they are at the events, even the small ones, even the ones that seem like long shots. And because they are there, they give luck somewhere to land. So ask yourself honestly, where have you been holding back? Where have you been waiting for permission, for certainty, for a better moment? That better moment is a myth. The moment is now, and showing up is the act of claiming it. Chapter 5. The network you do not realize you have. There is a concept in sociology called weak ties. Your strong ties are your close friends, your family, the people you speak to every day. Your weak ties are acquaintances, former colleagues, people you met once at an event, the friend of a friend you had a single good conversation with years ago. Here is the surprising thing. Research consistently shows that when it comes to opportunity, your weak ties are often more valuable than your strong ones. This is because your close circle tends to know the same things you know, move in the same circles you move in, and have access to the same information you already have. Your weak ties, on the other hand, live in different worlds. They know different people. They hear about different opportunities. They can act as bridges between your life and possibilities you would never encounter on your own. Making your own luck means tending your network with genuine care and curiosity, not as a transactional exercise, not as networking in the hollow business card swapping sense, but as the simple and deeply human practice of staying connected to people you find interesting, being helpful when you can, and staying curious about what others are working on. Reach out to someone you have not spoken to in a while, not because you want something from them, but because you genuinely wondered how they are doing. Share something useful with no expectation of return. Celebrate other people's wins publicly and sincerely. Be the person who connects other people to each other when you see a natural fit. This kind of generous, low-pressure network cultivation is one of the most reliable generators of what the world calls luck. Because when an opportunity arises that you are perfect for, the people in your network, including those weak ties, will think of you. And that thought, that mention, that recommendation, that is luck arriving through a door you quietly built. Chapter 6. How you see changes what you find. There is a well-known thought experiment involving a red car. You probably know it. You decide to buy a red car, and suddenly you start seeing red cars everywhere. They were always there, of course. The city was always full of them, but your mind was not tuned to notice them before. This is how the brain works. It is a filter. Out of the enormous flood of information available to us every moment, our brains select what to show us based on what we believe to be relevant, possible, and worth noticing. If you believe opportunities are scarce, your brain becomes very good at finding evidence of scarcity. If you believe the world is hostile and people cannot be trusted, you will be remarkably skilled at finding examples that confirm this. The filter is not neutral. It is shaped by your expectations. Lucky people have trained themselves, consciously or not, to expect good things to be possible. Not in a naive or delusional way, but in a relaxed, open, curious way. They walk into rooms assuming that something interesting might happen. They approach strangers assuming that conversation might be worthwhile. They encounter setbacks assuming there might be a lesson or a redirection embedded inside. This shift in orientation is not magic, but it might feel like it when you experience its effects. Suddenly you notice the opening in the conversation you would have talked yourself out of before. Suddenly you recognize the project idea as a real opportunity rather than dismissing it as too ambitious. Suddenly the chance meeting feels like it might be worth following up on. Training yourself to see possibility is one of the most practical and transformative things you can do. Start by asking, after every experience, what was good about that? Not to bypass genuine difficulty, but to build the habit of noticing what is working alongside what is not. Chapter 7. The Role of Resilience in Luck. Here is a truth about lucky people that almost never makes it into the story. They fail, and they fail often. They just do not stop at the failure. We tend to see the eventual success and project backwards, assuming it must have been a relatively smooth journey, perhaps with a few obstacles, but nothing too severe. The reality is almost always more chaotic, more painful, and more filled with rejection and setback than the finished story suggests. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers before Harry Potter found a home. Walt Disney was told his ideas lacked imagination. Oprah Winfrey was fired from her first television job. The list goes on and on. These are not examples of lucky people. These are examples of resilient people who eventually caught their luck because they stayed in the game long enough for it to arrive. Resilience is not the ability to feel nothing when things go wrong. It is the ability to feel the full weight of disappointment and then choose deliberately to take the next step anyway. It is not fearlessness. It is action in the presence of fear. When you experience a setback, the question to ask is not why did this happen to me, but what can I take from this and where do I go next? Not because that framing magically erases the pain, but because it redirects your energy from grief into momentum. Every failure, if you are willing to look at it honestly, contains information. Information about what did not work, about what you might do differently, about where your assumptions were off, about where you might actually be better suited to go. The failure is not the end of the story. It is a chapter in it. Stay in the game. Keep showing up. Keep preparing. Keep reaching out. Lucky people are not the ones who never fall. They are the ones who get back up so consistently that the getting back up eventually looks like luck from the outside. Chapter 8. Creating Lucky Environments. Your environment shapes your behavior more than almost any other factor. The people you spend time with, the spaces you inhabit, the content you consume, all of these quietly mold your expectations, your habits, and your possibilities. If you want to make more luck, take a long, honest look at your environment. Does it energize you or drain you? Does it expand your sense of what is possible or contract it? Are the people around you building things, exploring ideas, encouraging growth, or are they stuck in a loop of complaint and limitation? This is not about finding perfect people or becoming an elitist. Most of us have complex social lives and cannot simply restructure our entire circle, but you can make deliberate choices about where you invest your attention and energy. You can seek out communities, even online, of people who are doing interesting things. You can attend events where ambitious, curious, generous people gather. You can choose to spend a little more time with the people who make you feel expansive and a little less time with those who make you feel small. Your environment also includes the content you consume, the books you read, the podcasts you listen to, the things you watch and follow. Fill your mind with stories of people who built things, overcame obstacles, thought creatively, and stayed kind in the process. This is not passive inspiration. It is active programming of the filter we talked about earlier. It is tuning your brain to notice possibility. Luck, in large part, is a reflection of the environment you cultivate. Tend it carefully. Chapter 9. The Giving Paradox. One of the most counterintuitive secrets of people who attract consistent good fortune is this: they give more than they take. In a world that often frames success as a competition, where someone else winning feels like you're losing, this seems illogical. But the evidence, both from research and from the lives of genuinely successful people, points clearly in one direction. Generosity is one of the most powerful forces for creating luck. When you help someone without expecting anything in return, something remarkable happens. You create goodwill, you demonstrate your value, you show that you are the kind of person who can be trusted, who cares about others, who operates from abundance rather than scarcity. And over time, that reputation becomes a kind of magnetic field that draws opportunities towards you. Give your knowledge freely, share what you have learned, make introductions between people who could help each other, offer encouragement to people doing hard things, celebrate others generously and publicly. Be the person who shows up not just when there is something to gain, but when there is something to give. The paradox is that the people who are most focused on what they can extract from every interaction tend to find their networks slowly contracting, while the people who are most focused on what they can contribute tend to find their networks steadily expanding. And a larger, warmer, more trusting network is one of the richest sources of lucky breaks there is. Chapter 10. Acting on the Signals. Everything we have talked about, the preparation, the presence, the network, the mindset, the resilience, the environment, the generosity, all of it creates conditions for luck. But there is one final element that separates the people who build luck from the people who simply wish for it. You have to act. Lucky breaks do not arrive in fully formed packages with clear instructions. They arrive as hunches, as half-formed opportunities, as conversations that might become something more, as ideas that feel risky and uncertain. If you wait for absolute clarity and zero risk before you move, you will wait forever. Lucky people have a bias towards action. When they sense an opportunity, even an imperfect one, they lean in, they send the email, they make the call, they say yes to the invitation, they launch the project before it is perfect. They have learned through experience that it is almost always better to move imperfectly than to wait perfectly. This does not mean being reckless. It means having a high enough tolerance for uncertainty that you can act in its presence. It means trusting your preparation enough to take the step before the path is fully visible. Think of the times in your own life when something good came from a risk you took, a conversation you started, a thing you tried even though you were not sure it would work. You can probably trace most of your best experiences and opportunities back to a moment when you chose to act rather than wait. Trust yourself. Act on the signals. Take the step. The luck is in the motion. Conclusion: you are already luckier than you think. Let us come back to where we started. That story we tell ourselves about other people and their good fortune. I hope that by now that story feels a little different, because what looks like luck from the outside is almost always a long, quiet, consistent body of work happening beneath the surface. It is curiosity cultivated over years. It is relationships tended with care. It is resilience practiced through failure after failure. It is the habit of showing up even when the outcome is uncertain. None of this is available only to a special few. All of it, every single element, is something you can begin today. Not next year, not once you have figured everything out. Today, start preparing. Show up in new places. Reach out to someone you have been meaning to contact. Shift your attention towards what is possible. Tend your environment. Give generously. And when the signal comes, act on it. You are not waiting for luck to find you. You are building the conditions for luck to exist. And that changes everything. This has been Making Your Own Luck. Thank you for listening.